es Cerecita Blanco, the Artsy sister, and we're reading Saturnastra Rimaru. It was chapter 11, right?
Yeah, chapter 11.
Chapter 11, part 1. One of the nearby homeless folks said to Leo, "Sorry, my lord, but Lady Alisa is getting a roof patch up." "Oh, right, my apologies. Where am I exactly?" said Leo, looking a bit disoriented. "This is the Temple of Artisa," said a lady cradling a small little kitty cat. "They don't allow cats in the temple, you know," said Leo. "Well, the priest no longer uses this structure since you so graciously compromised his roof with no intention of visiting them," said Peluche, emerging from the shadow. Aside from his animal costume, Peluche was now sporting a silk-fur jacket, and Leo said, "Don't you have anything better to do with your time?" "I could ask you the same thing," said Peluche, and he added, "When was the last time you saw your son?" "He doesn't need me. Nobody needs me," whined Leo. "My dude has found you, and you can expect a visitation from him when you're ready," said Peluche. "How very gracious of the Demon King to make time for somebody as significant as I, but I'm afraid I am going to have to decline his offer to see him," said Leo. "Not that it matters much, seeing as though he always does what he wants. Hey, my dude, how are you?"
It's like right here.
"Hey, my dude! Oh, look at that jerk! Look at that jerk! Oh wait, the jerk is here! Hi, my dude!" Leo had just noticed my dude walking with his little entourage, and once a week the siblings would get together and do stuff. And this time it was Chica's turn to choose a family activity, and he wanted to fix the roof of the old church, so they were analyzing the structural integrity and so forth. And Rimaru was painting one of the walls, and as he did, he whistled a little tune to himself, and painting the wall was not part of the project, but like my duke, he always did what he felt like. "Good evening, my brother," said my duke. "It is morning, but I appreciate your empty sentiments, my duke," said Leo. "I have been thinking of opening up a little workshop or factory," said my duke. "Good for you," said Leo, faint disdainfully. The conversation was cut short when the door of the temple opened and strange men sporting bizarre neon-colored attires entered the vicinity. And one of the fellows had feet that seemed to be made of iron, and the pair were talking with one another as they surveyed the area. "Who are they?" asked Leo. "Troublemakers from the outer continent. They are sizing us up and not for socks," said Marduk. "That is a saying I'm not familiar with," commented Leo. "Are you worried?" asked Marduk. "You tell me, all-seeing, all-knowing Demon King," said Leo, bowing. "Geesh, enough already," said Rimaru. "Brother, why don't you lift the curse you place upon Leo, and ever since you forced him to be sober, he has been most insupportable as of lately." "You don't abandon your family," said Marduk sheepishly. "I would appreciate it if you abandoned siblings from time to time, especially the ones that are not related to you by blood," said Leo. Like, remember in Marduk, he had that little brother, but from the woman that had adopted him. So then he's also taking care of the family that's not like from his own planet and shit and stuff. "If I did that, then you would be the only brother in my life," Leo said, Marduk smiling. "Whatever, I am done with your otherworldly nonsense for today, and I'm going to ride the train," said Leo, departing. Leo every once in a while rode the train lines, and he never got off. He simply found it peaceful to see the lights in space pass by ever so slowly. And there was one specific track which did not go very far. Rather, it circled around the planet before returning back down to Saturn. And with the novelty of being able to leave the planet, many of the smaller hamlets had become devoid of youth, and they wanted to strike out their fortune in a new land, in a new world. And those who were the wiser knew the truth. Planets and life forms change, but humanoids are all one and the same. Or intelligent life forms, you know. "When Rimaru were painting, said to my dude, 'I have been thinking of traveling a bit.' 'But you hate to travel,' said my dude. 'Sometimes one has to get out of the comfort zone to enjoy the little things again,' said Rimaru. Or, can you learn to enjoy the little things now without traveling abroad?" insisted my dude. "But who will take care of my little farms?" asked the Asura. "You," said Rimaru, "since you care so much about it." "Oh, shoot, I guess I volunteer," said the Asura, pouting. "I guess you did, my little sister," said Rimaru, "and call me if anything cool happens." "Cool like what?" asked the Asura. "I don't know, surprise me," said Rimaru. And with this said, Rimaru returned home to make up his travel things. And since Aragon was a bit of a more of a permanent arrangement, he did not have to set out with just the clothing on his back, and after consulting the world map, he decided to check out the home of the folk that had visited the temple. And when Carbine heard of his departure, she seemed a bit sad, and she said to Rimaru, "Can I come with you?" "Sure, why not? Pack your things," said Rimaru. "On second thought, I don't really want to go," said Carbine. "Then why did you ask us, Rimaru?" "I was expecting for you to say no," said Carbine. "Can I come with you?" He said, "Yes." "Aw, I wanted you to say no." He's one of those jerks that wants to pretend to be taking interest in your things, but they really don't want anything to do with it. Since you're just going to collect dust in my house, I want you to at least get out and perform at the theater or something, or you can continue to just collect dust if it pleases you," suggested Rimaru. "I think I will go back to collecting dust for the time being," said Carbine, sitting down on the couch once more. And Rimaru left the controller beside her before departing. And once he was outside the house, he thought, maybe I should take the traveling companion with me. And right on cue, her brother Monkey King appeared. He said, "I can go with you." "Can you really? Don't you have a bunch of angry apes waiting for you to return home?" asked Rimaru. "That is precisely the reason why I want to go with you," said Monkey King. And the siblings walked together a bit of a ways towards the inn, and before Rimaru got there, Monkey King was intercepted by Gargantua. And after some protestations, Monkey King was forced to return to his people. And for the following days, Rimaru looked for a traveling companion, and everyone he ran into was either indisposed or sick of traveling due to the previous prolonged war campaign. And by the end of the way, Rimaru gathered for himself 2 traveling companions, and the first was Sativa. Remember, like the vampire from the start of the book? Well, the elf guy that engages in vampirism. Because he's an elf guy that requires blood, and he has really sharp teeth, but he insists he's totally not a vampire, even though he's like the most uber vampire that ever vampire in vampire. Time?
16 minutes.
He was curious to see how much the world had changed, and the second person was Mindy, and she still had more people to kill in Saturnastra. Also, she figured that she would run into her targets just by hanging out with Rimaru. And on his last day before the party, Rimaru approached the foreigners at the inn, and Rimaru asked the fellow, "Where are you from?" "Oh, what is it to you, stranger?" said the fellow in a strange neon outfit. From up close, Rimaru noted that the attire was made of synthetic fiber, like rayon or nylon. And it was a bit of a wonder why the Iron Master was allowing this. "Well, I thought I could travel with you and see your city. As a performer, I'm always looking for new ventures," said Rimaru. And the fellows whispered to one another, and after getting a look at the other 2 companions, Rimaru, they decided to bite, and he said, "Soon we will return home, and a leader might find your native performances amusing." And after the fellows concluded their rounds in Aragon, the group traveled to Sassari, Tokai, and Veragerum. And they would have entered Sibila as well, but the dragons were in the middle of mating season, so they were not taking tourists. And they also visited the continent. The foreigners visited the continent of Persame came from the east, and there was a rather long eastern continent, and due to its geography, it had all sorts of types of temperature zones. And recently they had gotten themselves an ambitious new ruler, and like Persame, he was into knowledge and technology, and in a short time period, the entire continent had been unified under his leadership. And since this had occurred in such short notice, none of the observers were up to date with the situations all over Saturnastra. And Saturnastra had about 15 continents, about 9 of them were around the equator. And this assured that the vast majority of us could meet one another by either traveling east or west, and a couple were barely separated by small bodies of water. And in relation to Aragon, these folks came to the east, and according to the foreigners, their continent went by the name of Skarste. And for the many centuries their home had been divided until a medicine man came onto them. "Sounds boring," commented Mindis. "Not all political problems are solved by violence," said Sativa. "Sure, whatever helps you sleep at night," said Rimaru, laughing. The year ended, and we, the foreigners, made the great mistake of setting sail. And since the intercontinental travel was new to them, they did not know of the weather patterns of the continental birds. And every winter, from down the mountains of Sibila, some frozen storms would form, and they would always descend down the mountains into the sea. And traveling eastward during the winter was always a death sentence. And Rimaru had informed the foreigners of the fact, but she was in a particularly bored type of mood, and she wanted to see the forks squirm. And the ship said sail was a tad too advanced, and the ship had sails but also cold steam engines. And when the winds were not cooperating, the sails were removed and the engine was turned on. And it had a 2-pivot mounted 32-pounder and 4-6 powder guns. And the iron hull was watertight, so it could sustain systematic damage. And due to its sleek form, it could sail through rivers. And the downside to the ship was that the compass malfunction, and for that reason, the captain always threw the anchor down whenever it got too cloudy. Time?
12 minutes.
And on a crisp New Year morning, Rimaru had left her little cat to wander about the deck, and she swayed back and forth, following the rhythm of the ship. You know, the ship is swaying fast and she's like, In her pocket, there rested Sativa in the form of a tomato, and he was fighting seasickness, and whenever he was in a mood, he would take the form of a vegetable, usually a tomato. And seated on the railing of the ship, Rimaru saw Mindy, and she had a lute, and she was strumming a terrible tune with an off-key voice. And one of the fellows said in his foreign tongue, which was Spanish by the way, "We should send that thing from whence it came." The other fellows responded, "Yeah, you do that." Like, the kind of squib monster. And despite casting many dark shadows, the humans manning the ship were generally afraid of Mindys. And in their continent, they did not have any humanoid species, or even dragons for that matter. They did have a lot of cryptozoological animals, as well as plenty of Cretaceous and Jurassic creatures. And underground, beneath their civilization, lived the Draconians. And unlike the Saurians and the Greys, they kept pretty much to themselves. And their presence was only discovered by the locals when they took their flying saucers to fetch one of their own that had been resurrected by magical all things. And whenever such a non-scientific magical miracle occurred, the little alien creatures usually made quite a fuss about it. So like a Saurian, so like a Draconian was resurrected with magic, and then the Draconian would be like, "Ooh, what's magic?" And since they were in a fuss as of lately, the humans for scarcity had been on edge, and eventually a young ship hand was brave enough to approach Mindy, and he said, "You should go home." "I was invited here," said Mindy coolly. "Well, then you're uninvited," said the boy. "I go where I please, and if my presence bothers you, boy, then do something about it," said Mindy, giving the child a quaint smile. "If my presence bothers you, do something, I dare you." The smile showed the teeth inside her beak, and she was a bit of a goose-like sometimes, and the child made his way towards a nearby harpoon, and it was still bloody from the recent whale catch, and based on the shape of it, the mariners had fished out a killer whale, and the kid brought forth the harpoon towards Mindy, and Rimaru intervened, taking the harpoon from the brat. And Rimaru said to the kid, "What are you, stupid? Only a fool picks a fight against a foe he doesn't know he can beat." "I can take him," said the brat. "I have harpooned lots of seafood and even squids. If the kid says he can take me, you should let him," said Mindy, strumming her guitar. He said, "The kid wants to fight, alright."
Oh yeah, by the way, the people watching this, Google goose teeth. They're creepiest.
Yeah.
So you know what she described.
Yeah, like goose actually has teeth.
And they're horrifying.
Yeah. Well, Google a goose with his open mouth, and you will have nightmares.
Yeah.
"If the kid says he can take me, you should let him," said Mindy, strumming her guitar. "Fine, do as you will. It is your funeral," said Rimaru. The child looked at Mindy, and Mindy studied the child. And Rimaru was also looking at the brat as well, and she was pondering on whether she found it amusing to see him die, or if she should intervene again. And Mindy still had not gotten bored of killing people in Saturnastra, and it was not for the very reason that she was lingering in this world. And like Amelia, she only killed those who tried to harm her. And the 16-year-old Brad took the spear and he flung it at Mindy. And Mindy caught the spear with her guitar. And then she stretched her tentacles and came at the Brad. And as she called around him, the kid started crying and he even released himself out of fear. And Mindy lost interest in the Brad, and she was even more disgusted by how he had stung her attire. And the sailors laughed, and a couple were even forced to pay up a failed bet. So like she lost interest because the kid saw himself and he saw her outfit as well. Like, God. So like she be like, oh God, you dirty my stuff. So then that saved him doing that. Because she was more, her disgust overcame her desire to kill. Time, bro?
8 minutes.
When night fell, a winter storm came and weathered the ice problem, and the ship was not equipped for breaking through the ice, and the front of the hull received plenty of damage, and the captain still pressed on with fear of getting stuck and freezing to death. And all of the sailors took turns manning the ship and setting next to the coal engine to keep warm. And when morning came, the once elegant black iron sailboat was now cotton white. And the following morning, the sky was clear, like it snowed a lot. You get me? The sailors had spent their time clearing the snow and performing mast repair, and after making it past the terrible ice storm, it was smooth sailing for the rest of the trip. And it was around spring when Rimaru saw the continent was carted, and since the ship had geared up, of course, they were now in the northern part, and there was a thin layer of ice near the coast, and Rimaru was sitting in the front of the ship, and Mindy was sitting beside her. Mindy said, "Do you ever just ponder on all of your life choices?" "Not really. Seems like a waste of time," said Rimaru. "Ah, pooh," said Mindy. "If you wanted to hear yourself talk a bit, then you might as well try again," said Rimaru. "I just find your company ever so inspiring," said Mindy. "What can I say? I was happier with my own little things, and then my conscience had to kick in and make me do the right thing," said Rimaru, who was still bemoaning the death of his sweet vampire.
Candace?
Yeah, not Candace. Remember that in Marduk, Rimaru showed up with a little vampire friend that attacked Marduk and like all of his friends.
Oh yeah, I remember.
She was never able to turn off the whole kill thing very often, cause the way that she acquired vampirism was in order to survive a violence that was done upon her. So then she just stayed very angry and very murdery, and then she had to be off because she couldn't stop killing. Very sad. "Yeah, I hate it when it happened. It keeps you from finally achieving true happiness," said Mindy. "In what way do you amuse yourself? Back in the old days before you got into the whole killing thing," asked a bored Rimaru. "I amuse myself by doing things that you folks execute others for," said Mindy. "If you want to provoke a fight, you have to try a little harder," said Rimaru, chuckling. The boat slowly crossed the ice as it advanced full steam upriver, and the captain would have docked, but he wanted to return home. And the trees and landscape reminded Rimaru of a place he had seen in an old farm with maples and elms and hollies and magnolias. And in a little fishing hamlet there was a forest of willow trees, and on the other side of the river there were cliffs just beyond the forest, and on top of the cliffs there was even more woods, and from time to time a large lizard would swim beneath the ship. And it scarcely stopped barely noticeable beneath the deep, murky, green, cold waters. And sailing against the current was a bit of a slow progress, and eventually the river opened into two sections, and the boat took a choppy path, and this time the ship was following the current, and the current eventually turned into rapids, and the sailors deployed the paddles to steer the ship, and a jerking motion was enough to cause Mindy to go overboard, and none of the sailors paid any attention to the missing passenger, and a few even breathed a sigh of relief. And Rimaru got up and held out a rope tied to a bowstring, and she laughed with glee as the ship went up and down, left and right. And one of the sailors at the mast yelled, "Fire the engine!" And the boat then started changing directions quickly, and they needed to change course to the left and Commerce Channel, and if they missed their entrance, it would plummet into a waterfall. And a road that had tumbled out of the mountain blocked the entrance to the side channel, and the ship plummeted down the waterfall with everyone screaming with the exception of Rimaru, who was laughing. And before they struck down the sharp shadow underneath rock, the shadow of Mindy's manifested, and it entered the ship, and he placed it on the proper path, and it also removed the rod that had caused so much pain and frustration. And when the shadow disappeared, Mindis climbed onto the boat, and the incident had occurred so quickly that most of what the human had seen was a bunch of tentacles, and then I relayed the apparition with little Mindis. And Mindis frowned when she noticed that nobody was coming to thank her, and Sativa had just finished his nap and had gone to see what was all the commotion. What happened, Sativa? Time, bro?
3 minutes.
Oh, nothing. I saved the world and nobody thanked me, pouted Mindis. See, this is what happens when I listen to my conscience. It never brings me any happiness. If you don't like helping others, then don't do it. I rarely bother to help folks, and I manage to sleep just fine at night, said Sativa, sitting beside Mindis. That is easier said than done, said Rimaru. And the days down the river flowed rather smoothly, and the sailors in a pond why they had been saved, and the passengers who had beckoned Rimaru to come with them seemed to know better. And the fellow with the prosthetic leg said to Mindis, "Thank you for saving us." "Well, it's about time somebody said Mindis. The other fellow added, "How can we repay you?" "I can give you a monthly plan if you don't have cash in hand," said Mindis. "I beg your pardon," said the man with the prosthetic leg. "Just what I thought," said Mindis. "It is just a figure of speech," said Sativa. "Thanks are cheap, you know, but appreciated," said Mindis, climbing to the foremast. And the chef currently on duty there did not appreciate her appearance, but he was not the sort of fellow to pick a fight against something so bizarre. And the man with the prosthetic leg asked Rimaru, "Why do you want to come with us? Why leave behind such a promising music career?" "The music career was nothing but an illusion," said Rimaru. "How so?" asked Sativa. "Well, at first I was just trying out my own thing, but folks did not pay me any attention. Then one day I sang what was cheap and popular. And even then nobody took me seriously, and I was just another talented weirdo without a roof over my head. And in the old continent, if you're not someone with connections or friends, nobody gives you a fair chance, and it doesn't matter what you do," pouted Rimaru. "But then how do you get by?" insisted Sativa. "The same way as everyone else. Someone with connections, in the case my brother, opened the door for me, and he told Alisa to invite me to sing at her parties. Then one day a theater guy took an interest in my voice, and the rest is history," said Rimaru sadly. Time?
1 minute.
"Bummer," said the fellow with the prosthetic leg, and he added, "Don't worry not. In my home, it will be I who opens the door for you, but at a price." "Yes, I can imagine what price you want," said Rimaru in a tongue the fellow could not understand. Alright, let's leave this chapter at that. Bye-bye and God bless.